You're listening to the Oh, Come On sports podcast with me, Natasha Staniszewski. Come on now! Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Oh, Come On podcast hosted by Natasha and Al. Al is in Toronto. It feels like it has been a while, and I suppose that it has, Al. We kind of, the podcast we did with Haley, which was awesome, was a couple of weeks ago. I took myself a little vacation. Now I'm back. Feels good to be back, but it's tough to get back into a routine sometimes.
I'm sure. It does feel like it's been a long time. And how was your vacation? It was kind of a work vacation, right? It was a little bit of both. So, no one's going to feel bad for what you were doing. So you can explain what you were doing to everybody.
Yeah. So I'm doing a bit of work with a golf company that puts on these amazing golf tours around the world, basically. And this was the first one. Just kind of hosting it. So it was about 18 or 19 of us in the Dominican Republic. And we played a lot of golf. I haven't played that much golf before. I think I played 6 rounds in 5 days, which was a lot for me. Yeah.
The fundamental question is it possible to play too much golf? Is it, were you at the point where you were like, you know what, this is a little bit much now. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing is that I wasn't playing well, and that doesn't help, right? Like, I knew going into it, I've got some issues with my irons and my 3-wood, and I just couldn't figure it out. And so by the end of the week, when you're playing with strangers who are all great people, but I was kind of shuffled around from group to group, and you're playing with new people, and you want to, put your best foot forward, and you're trying so hard, and then the game isn't, helping you in any way, it gets tough. But
it does.
It's all in your attitude, right? So I was trying not to let it get me down, but I'm pretty annoyed with myself right now and the way my game is going. And I think I'm just a little bit golfed out. So I put my golf clubs in the front closet when I got home. I'm shutting the door. I'm putting them away.
So you're done. You're done till April or whatever.
I'm not going to look at them. I don't think until after Christmas, even though I've been thinking about it every night. Every night it's like I'm having golf mares. I see myself missing or topping the ball with my 3-wood, but I think I need a mental break. So my plan is to not look at them or pull them out until after Christmas, but we'll see. That might change. The weather has been really nice in Calgary, and there's some nice outdoor driving ranges here with heaters and everything like that. So,
nice.
Yeah. So anyways, the trip was great. The weather was fantastic. 37 degrees. The humidity was off the charts.
Wow, that sounds really hot. And that doesn't sound like fun weather to golf in unless you're golfing at 6 a.m.
Well, every morning we were teeing off by 8:30 at the very latest, because otherwise I don't know how you do it. Like, we had a few drinks on the course, rum and Coke, pina coladas. I would drink those things in 30 seconds flat because I was so hot and I was so thirsty, and I wouldn't even feel the alcohol. Like, it would just go right through you because you're just sweating constantly. Yeah. Right?
It was funneling into your arms, and that was causing your swing to be a little awry, right? So you can always blame the alcohol. You can always blame it on the alcohol.
I wish I could. But yeah. It was a great trip. It was good to get away. It's been a while since I've been on a tropical holiday. As I imagine a lot of people haven't, obviously, because of COVID, been out of the country in a while.
I know we're supposed to talk sports here, but how was like the airport experience and the plane experience? How was all that? Was that like a super pain in the ass where you don't want to do it again, or was it not too bad?
You know what? There was a whole other level of stress. I'm not going to lie. It was, you have all these different, now you have to show the proof of being doubly vaxxed. There's a couple different apps you have to fill out. The Dominican Republic needed a code that you needed to show at the airport. So there is a whole other level, which I didn't love, but maybe it's just a matter of getting used to it. At the end of the day, there was really no issue getting in or out. It was just a few extra documents, right? Plus your passport and all those things that you have to have at the ready. But allow yourself a little extra time, I would say, going to the airport and read all the fine print and all that kind of stuff as you're going in and out. But yeah, for the most part, we had to get a test coming back into Canada, like another COVID test 48 hours before coming back. But we all came back negative, so that was good. And there you go.
Sounds like fun.
There you go. Yeah.
Beauty.
So I didn't pay a lot of attention to sports while I was out there. Not going to lie, I kind of shut it down. But as my plane was leaving, literally as it was about to
I know what you're going to talk about here. I knew you were going to bring this up right away. I knew it. I haven't been paying attention, but yeah, go ahead.
This is how we left off. So this is where we're going to pick it up, of course, is our bet, Pats and the Chargers. And the plane is about to take off. And I was literally buckling my seat, and the Pats held on to win. And I finally won a bet. Finally.
Yeah. And not only did you win a bet, you won a underdog on the money line, right? So which means you won a bet that technically wasn't supposed to win based on the betting favorite versus the betting non-favorite. So that is an especially good pick, and I tip my hat to you. Well done. And you earned yourself 2 pumpkin spice lattes off of your bill so far. So that's well done. Good choice. I was obviously very wrong. Well done.
Thank you. So you're 3 up on me now, I think, though, right?
I am 3 up on you.
Close the gap a little bit. Okay.
I am. While you've been gone, can I tell you how the Leafs have been playing? I mean, I know you haven't been paying attention, but can we start? Can that be the second thing we talk about?
Sure, let's do it.
The guys, 6-1 in the last 7 games. I've been hearing this term, the core 4, over the last couple of days, and apparently it's kind of catching on in Toronto. Maybe not over in Calgary yet, but focusing on the top line, of course, of Marner, Matthews, and Nylander, and Tavares in there as number 4. And seeing these guys play over the last couple of games, it's been very, very, very exciting. So, like a traditional Leafs fan, I am at the lowest of the low when things go a little bit bad, and now that things are a little bit good, I'm at the highest of the high. So it's the usual playing. But no, it's been an exciting time in Leaf Town, and all Canadian teams are playing really well right now, right? I don't know if you've seen the standings recently, but your guys in Calgary and Edmonton both are playing exceptionally well.
Yeah, the Alberta teams are hot. You're right. The Leafs are hot. I did flip on the game last night. I didn't even watch that closely because I felt like the Leafs had it in the bag so early. Like they were just playing so well. I don't know. I had no faith in Philly. So I didn't watch that closely, but I saw that they won. Sure. So congrats.
You know what? It's a good point you make there. And I think that about the Leafs having it in the bag early, I think that's been the issue on the road, especially this was the first game that they've scored the first goal in a road game. Of 9 games, I think, or whatever it is so far. So typically they've been, playing from behind on the road, and that's not an easy thing to do, especially when your top guys aren't playing as well. But I think that yesterday was a great example of them getting out early. Penalty kill was good. It was a good, solid all around effort, and against a team that, quite frankly, they should beat. But it was nice to see them beat them. Yeah,
and I mean, a one goal lead isn't much, but they just look so much more confident that I was worried that they were going to lose that one at all. So it's good to see them coming together. I don't mind it at all. Cool.
Eventually, I'm going to get you wearing a Leaf jersey on this podcast.
Yeah,
One day, we're going to have to make a wager. And I know there is a game this Friday of Calgary in Toronto. So I thought maybe we could create some sort of wager around that game where the loser is wearing some paraphernalia of the winner's choosing. It could be a Leafs, it could be whatever.
I feel like that is sacrilegious. Like, I don't think wearing paraphernalia of the other team should even be a part of bets. I feel like that's too much. I wouldn't do it.
But that's why it should be, because it means more than just money, or it means more than just pumpkin spice lattes. This is actual, I would know that this is torture for you, and just that alone would give me enough satisfaction, to make this a worthwhile chase. But listen, we can work towards that. It's a long season. I'll do baby steps. We'll start with pumpkin spice lattes, and we'll work up to Leafs wear eventually. But they are playing. So Calgary is in town on Friday, and I am going to the game. I'm excited to say. I'm taking my little boy, 6 years old, and we got some really kick butt seats to clean up for the podcast. So yeah, we're gonna be nice and close to the glass. I'm very, very excited. And for some reason he's a Calgary Flames fan. I have no idea why. He's 6 years old. A year ago, we're watching highlights, and he saw Matthew Tkachuk, and he scored a cool goal. And from that point on, I can't get him to cheer for anybody else but the Calgary Flames. So we'll be there on opposing sides on Friday night.
Sometimes that's all it takes, is just one goal or one moment like that that's ingrained in your little brain, and that's it.
That's it.
Oh,
absolutely.
That's cool. Did you have to pay $1 million for those seats?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's the way. You know what? Okay, I know that the value is determined by what the market will pay for it, so that is what the real definition of value is. But holy These are overvalued like crazy. Like, you know what I mean? It would make it really difficult for someone to take a family of 4, let's say, or go out for dinner before, have a full experience. You're looking at a couple of grand, right? Easy,
Right.
And which is insanity, absolute insanity. But anyway, regardless, I'm excited to be doing it on this Friday, so I will partake in the insanity for one night.
Good. Well, hopefully you get a good game. Like you said, both teams are playing well, so I will be watching that game. I'll be looking for you behind the glass. How about that?
There you go. I'll make sure I hold up my "Hey Natasha, look at me" sign right behind the glass. So yeah, there you go.
Okay. Kristian Jack is coming on the pod very soon. An awesome guy, soccer journalist forever. He works with CPL now, so he's coming soon. So we need to get our NFL picks in here before we talk to Kristian. So we narrowed in on a couple of games. We'll do 2 games this week.
Okay.
2, I think, pretty obvious ones. Seahawks and Packers. I don't think Aaron Rodgers missing that time is going to affect him at all. And I would pick the Packers to win that one.
Well, we don't even know he's playing yet.
For sure.
We don't necessarily know. So apparently he can't report. Okay, so first of all, what do you think about all this Aaron Rodgers stuff? Because he's always been kind of a poster boy, always kind of he's been a bit disgruntled in the locker room, but people, that's justifiably, in my opinion. But this is a bit of a different level, right? And he's kind of come off as a bit of a, bit of a tool over the last week and a half. Excuse my Canadian language there. What do you think about the whole Aaron Rodgers thing? And I know he can't report necessarily to the team until Saturday, and that's the earliest, and they play on Sunday, obviously. So we'll see. It's a brave pick without knowing who the quarterback is.
We don't know until Saturday, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah. So the earliest he can report back is Saturday. He was on the Pat McAfee podcast a couple of days ago, and saying that he wants to clear a couple of physical hurdles before he, is considered himself cleared to play, and that would include being able to sweat and breathe heavy and a bunch of other stuff because he did have COVID, so whatever. But listen, an Aaron Rodgers versus Russell Wilson game is a lot more exciting, right, than a Geno Smith versus Jordan Love game. So it's amazing that Russell Wilson is back only after I think it was like 4 weeks, or he only missed 3 games because they had a bye. Yep. After having a dislocated finger. I didn't realize he had started every game of like a 9-year career so far, which is like, think of that in football as a quarterback, especially, right? I mean, all the hits you take, and I know they protect the quarterback a lot, but even still, I think it's, I am happy to get on the other side of this game and get on the Seahawks on this one. Cause quite frankly, I'm not convinced that Aaron Rodgers is going to play.
Right.
And if he does, missing 10 days and missing all those reps, so that means Jordan Love is taking all the first-team reps in practice this week. So it will be interesting. Now, again, this is one of those cases where we have a West Coast team flying all the way across to play an East Coast game. So that does mess with the body clock a little bit. It's a late game, a 4:25 game, so maybe not as impactful. But I will accept your bet, and I will take Seattle against your Green Bay.
Okay. I think Rodgers is going to play, and I think the Packers are going to win. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of other players in the league who are, what would we say? He lied, I guess, basically is what he did.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
He's not the only one, I'm sure of it.
Did you see the fine that they slapped on him by any chance?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like chump change.
14,600. So there was one, I can't remember what one of the sports stats agencies did. And so they did an analysis based on his salary per hour and compared to the American median average. And the equivalent was for you or I, or I say an equivalent American, was the fine was $33.80 equivalent in terms of income versus, kind of the impact of the fine. $33.80 for Aaron Rodgers for lying and for exposing all of his teammates and reporters and everybody else, and all during this time. Because he was maskless during all those press conferences, right? I watched a whole bunch of press conferences where he was never wearing a mask. So yeah, $33.80. But look, I think he is so important to that team. Like we saw last week, without Aaron Rodgers, man, they struggled to put up 7 points, right? And they had all their receivers. They had Aaron Jones was running the ball. It was everyone except for Aaron Rodgers was in there, and I think they took them till the end of the third quarter to put up 7 points. So you can see without him. There are going to be a real struggle. Without him playing at a high level, it's going to be a real struggle with for that offense.
It was a sad performance, no doubt.
Okay, so all right, so I'm on the Hawks. You're on the Packers. Pumpkin spice latte, baby. All right.
Okay, and Raiders and Chiefs. This is a tough one.
Well, yeah, you know what? This is interesting because like this division is crazy. So
Yes.
every team in this division has 5 wins, right? I mean, it's. I guess right now the Chargers are technically the best in the division because they're undefeated in the division. But I think this is what's even more interesting is if you look at the AFC West and the AFC North, 7 of the 8 teams have 5 wins, which is like insane parity, right? In the AFC, and only the Baltimore Ravens are outside of them with 6. So all of those 8 teams have either 5 or 6 wins. So it's amazingly close in the AFC. So this is I'm glad you picked this matchup because this is I think is the marquee one for this week. In terms of impact on the playoffs. I know it's too early to talk about playoffs, but a hardcore divisional game, and we just talked about it, right? I mean, the Chiefs played the Packers last week, the Aaron Rodgers Packers, and they put up a grand total of 13 points, and even they struggled to do that. So I know you're a Chiefs fan, and I'm fairly sure that your pick right now is going to be on the Chiefs. I'm taking a wild guess right now, but yeah, I don't know. I don't believe it. Every week that goes by, I believe less and less that they're going to figure this out. I mean, look, last year when you'd watch this Chiefs offense, at least once every 3 or 4 plays, you're seeing a huge play downfield to Tyreek. You're seeing a huge play downfield to Kelsey.
Yeah.
Now screens, touch passes, slants, run. One shot maybe every quarter, if that. It looks like a completely different offense. So anyway, who do you like in the Chiefs Raiders game?
So you're actually wrong in that I don't want to take the Chiefs. I'm not confident in them at all. Like offensively, like you just said, not good. Defensively, not good. I know there's been a lot of drama for the Raiders this past week, but I think I'm going with the Raiders. They're the favorite coming into this. It has to be.
I'm going to double check right now, actually, because I haven't looked at the most recent. Line to be completely honest with you in a couple hours. But as of right now, the Raiders are actually 2.5-point underdogs. So the Chiefs are favored. Yeah, Chiefs are favored going into Vegas. And I think you touched on it there a little bit, right? I mean, there is some chaos in that Raiders organization right now. I mean, I don't know if they want to discuss some of the stuff that's happening on kind of in one capacity, but the other Dante Miller, I think his name is, or something like that, posted a video this week, kind of a ridiculous thing. Like, what would cause you to post, do that in a video? I mean, like where it's recorded for posterity, and anybody can see it, and it's. I don't know. I don't get it.
This is a first rounder, though, right? This guy, and like, do you not? How does this come out of nowhere? Like, don't you do your homework on a player like this? You can't tell me this player did not have issues before. Maybe he did. It'd just be weird for this to come out of the blue. Is it Deshaun Jack? No, not Deshaun Jack.
No, I was so wrong. It's Damon Arnett. Damon Arnett.
Right?
I apologize.
Yeah.
I get his name wrong.
Yeah. So I don't know what the resume of this kid is or what he's done in the past, but it just seems bizarre that this kind of behavior would come out of nowhere. And do your homework on a player.
It's kind of crazy that they're both 2020 first round draft picks, both Ruggs and this guy. And they're both, have been released, cut from the team now. So yeah, we'll see what impact that has on them on the field. I mean, plus never mind the John Gruden story from 2 weeks ago still that is, I'm sure, still hovering above the locker room. And so it's a bit of chaos there. I don't feel comfortable in either of these teams. So I am going, to be completely honest with you, I think as a novice bettor, I would probably stay away from this game, to be completely honest with you, because I really have no idea. So I am not going to take your action on this one, but I am going to suggest once again that we take a little side action on the Flames Leafs game on Friday night. We just put that in place, and I'll say, look, I'll take the Leafs, pumpkin spice latte, you take the Flames, and let's make that our second pick for the week, because I don't feel comfortable in picking either one of these teams.
Interesting. Okay. All right. We'll leave this one alone then. Okay. I'll take the Flames. Why not?
Let's do it.
All right. So I got the Packers. You have the Seahawks. I got the Flames. You have the Leafs. And we will check back in next week and see what happens. Okay. Here he is, Kristian Jack, honestly, one of the nicest people I know. And I mean that totally from the bottom of my heart. He is a soccer journalist. His new role is VP of Media and Content for the CPL. Kristian, welcome to the pod. How's it going?
It's great, Natasha. Wonderful to be on with you. You and I have done content before, and now we're doing it here. So this is special for me. Thanks for having me.
Love it. How are things going with the CPL? Still early days for you, but what excites you the most about the potential for that league?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, things are going well. It's been crazy because I started June and then the season started in June. So it's like, for me, it's been what I like doing the best, right? It's when the games are happening, tell the stories around the games. So, it seemingly has felt like we've been having a game every 3 or 4 days for 5 months because we were late to start because of COVID, and then we started in a bubble. So what do I like the best? I think I like the overall quality on the pitch. It's a league that's only 3 years in, and it's a Canadian league, obviously. But I have to say that I've been very impressed in the standard of where certainly the top players and the top clubs are taking it here in 2021. And as I talk to you now here in November, we're getting to the point where we're getting to our playoffs and the semifinals and finals. So we're going to get to the point that I love the most in any sport, and that's seeing athletes lift trophies and seeing that emotion on their face. That's the high for me whenever I get to cover people like that.
That's so cool. That's amazing. How do you think the CPL compares with the MLS? Obviously, I mean, I think a lot of people still mistake MLS as being a Canadian league because we have a couple of Canadian teams, but very clearly that's a US league with Canadian kind of franchises. How do the two compare, both in terms of quality and competition? And do you see any parallels between the two?
Well, I think it's a great question, Ali. I think what I would say is that the way the CPL is right now in year three, if you compare it to where Major League Soccer was in year three, I think the standards are very similar. And I think right now, are there players, managers who could go from CPL right now to tomorrow play in MLS or compete in MLS? Yes, I think there are. I would go as far as to say there's probably at least 20, 25 players right away that could do that. And talking to scouts and talking to coaches across MLS, they're keeping their eye on the CPL. It's a developing league, but it's a competitive environment and it's close to home. And as you alluded to, there are Canadian franchises that can look at these Canadian players in a competitive environment and even put their own players there. We have loan players from MLS and CPL as well, that they can give them an opportunity to play rather than having to just train all the time. Players, they have to play. They need to play to get better in any sport. So it's a growing league, and one that I think MLS is obviously is taken off in leaps and bounds, particularly over the last decade. But the way that CPL is navigating towards that, it's an exciting, trending in the right direction, no doubt.
And there have been a few CPL MLS matches already, and there is seemingly parity in all those, right? There's not one dominant side ever either side. They seem to be very competitive. And I know Hamilton specifically has played exceptionally well against some of the MLS teams.
Yeah, so I mean, we had the Pacific team, obviously on Vancouver Island. They beat the Whitecaps this year, which was just an enormous day for us in the CPL. And it wasn't like a game where they hung in and they defended deep and got a couple of things going their way. It was a marvelous game. They won 4-3. There was back and forth, lots of things happening, and it's actually what you want in this sport. That's what you see all around the world, guys. You see in lower league soccer or football, whatever your preference is, in Germany or in England or Spain and Greece, wherever your country is. You see lower teams going after the big giants in cup competitions, and in the bounce of a ball in a 90-minute game, if you get things go your way, then you can definitely come on the right side of that. Forge and Hamilton, I was there. They took Montreal to penalties in the semi-final. Pacific ran TFC close in the other semi-final. So yeah, it's great to see. And I think those games, I know those games just elevate our league into new eyes, but it also elevates the players. They just know they've got to go to another level if they want to be able to go to MLS one day and compete with them again.
Absolutely. You mentioned Pacific there, and I was very excited and proud yesterday to see the new franchise being awarded to Vancouver. What does that mean? And is expansion kind of in the plans for the CPL beyond 9 teams? I know you can't disclose too much, I'm sure, but yeah. Do you envision a larger kind of conglomerate of teams within the CPL?
I think I could speak for everybody at the CPL to say that's a clear yes. Yeah, they have not capped it on any number. They want to be able to make sure that the organizations or enterprises that take on these projects do everything the right way. And in League One, you've got an ability to take a franchise and see whether you can do that, get the fan base, get your business model right to move up to show that you can go and get a CPL franchise. But you're right, getting Vancouver in our league is just so vital. It legitimizes it a bit more. Not only is it an outstanding city in Canada, it's a world-class city around the world, right? And no disrespect to Pacific, but they should be relishing the chance that they've got local rivals coming in 2023, because derby games, rivalry games, anything you can have like that in any sport, that's what makes it going, right? You get the storylines of the fans and going at each other. So it's great. It's great that a Vancouver team is coming to our league as early as 2023.
Yeah, I can't see a whole lot of Vancouver. I just maybe taking the ferry ride across to go watch a Pacific game. So this will do a lot for the exposure within that market.
Yeah,
my last question, of course, because I'm a bit of a gambler, as you know, and I like to make a wager here and there. Who do you like in the CPL in terms of the Canadian Championship? I mean, is there a certain team that stands out from other ones? Is there one or two that you think are really the front runners to look at taking the title this year?
Well, we're down to four. Forge are the team at the top of the table. They are the team that's won the last 2 years. They're the team that is in CONCACAF right now, and they are hosting the first set. They are hosting as the first playoff seed. They're going to be hosting the young team from York. But if you're looking to kind of handicap this, York will be, I would imagine, massive underdogs in the game like that. But they've already been to Forge twice this season and won away in that stadium in Hamilton. So they don't have any fear against Forge. Well, a lot of other teams certainly have. So if you're looking to back York, maybe there's a chance there they could go there over one game and do something. In the other game, Cavalry against Pacific. Pacific were the league leaders for a long time in the CPL. They were really, if you think of it like a marathon, they were really the pace setters, but they've got tired really at probably the 20th, 21st milestone here a little bit, and they've got key players injured, and now they have to go to Calgary where they've been already this season and knocked them out of the Canadian Championship, but also just played there recently. So I think to answer your question, the teams at home are going to be overwhelming favorites for a reason. That Cavalry team is starting to really look like they're getting fit and healthy at the right time, while Pacific haven't looked themselves for a couple of months. So I think that Cavalry Pacific game may even go down almost as a pick 'em, but the way that Cavalry are going, I wouldn't sleep on that team.
Excellent. Great insight.
I'm trying to get to that game, KJ, that Calgary Cavalry game, but the temperature is at this point is hovering around 0. So I'm starting to pull up my winter clothes already and get myself.
You can come and be my guest. I'm coming. I'm going there soon now. Yeah,
oh.
I have to fly back from Edmonton, and then 36 hours later, I'm flying to Calgary.
Oh, geez.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm coming in for literally, I think, 18 hours or something. So I'll be there. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll have to try and come and say hi at some point. Or totally. I can come see you in Edmonton because we're both going to Edmonton tomorrow. Or you're going tonight. I'm going tomorrow.
Fantastic.
The big game, obviously, the Canadian men's national team against Costa Rica. This men's team, they were mediocre for so long, and it kind of feels just like all of a sudden. I mean, it hasn't been all of a sudden, but it feels that way a little bit. How did they rise to this point so fast?
Well, I mean, you've got real pillars of success in players like Davies and David and Laren, who are playing at a high level in Europe, that has certainly pushed it to another level. We had players playing in Europe previously, and no disrespect to past generations of the Canadian men's national team, they will say to themselves that, many of them were not playing at high level clubs. The day-to-day learning that the likes of David, Davies, Laren, Hutchinson are taking on at these Champions League caliber clubs is really like a master's degree in tactical football, with the coaching and the players that they play with at the high level on a training basis. So they're getting better technically, then they're getting better mentally, they're improving themselves on the pitch with the playing in great games, and then they're bringing that over here, and it's really become contagious within the group. Now, it is also a group that is genuinely united. I mean, I know, Natasha, we hear this all the time in sports. Oh, they're a great group, they get along, and then you peel back the curtain, you get to know it. He doesn't like him, they don't like them, she doesn't like him, and there's lots of development thing behind the scenes that they hide away. This is a genuine group that care for each other, a core group of probably 15 or 16 that have known each other for years, that have grown up together, many of them in the Brampton, Toronto area, that have just been told once or twice, at least in their careers, you're not going to make it, you're not going to get there. And that adversity has fueled this group to say, we can come together and get through this. So there's genuine belief now, that, like you mentioned, the mediocrity, as you said, they never really believed as a group before. It was always like, we'll go out there, we might win, it might go our way, we might get a bounce here or there. Now they feel like they can go out there and dictate the game, and they'll certainly feel like they can do that against Costa Rica.
John Herdman took over this team in 2018. What has he done for this group?
Well, he's the leader. He's the vocal leader. He's transformed their mindset as well. He deserves a ton of credit for that. He's just a great encourager of people. He can really pull the minds together, and I think he deserves a ton of credit because he's almost now got out the way. And he will always say the players are the ones making it, and now he's got to give them the platform to go and succeed. And so I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. And I think tactically, he's probably underrated a little bit. They'll make changes on the fly here and there in games that the players just want to get better. Yeah, we want to be pushed and tested. So he's really given them the opportunity to do that as well. But look, they see him as somebody that has helped really unify this group. And as you said earlier, it was a fractured group for a long time in the Canadian Soccer Association.
Mm-hmm. He had so much success with the women's team. Obviously, it was I don't know if controversial is the right word, but it was shocking when he moved to the men's side. But it's obviously worked out.
Yeah, it's a great point, because I remember it back in January, I think 2018. It was really a story that went all around the world, right? Like, it was a guy coaching the women's team is now going to go coach the men's national team of that country. It was just really unprecedented at that point. And then there's questions about, can he move over from that? I think the skill sets were already there, right? And galvanizing people, uniting people together, understanding the sport, a love for Canada, which is really important. This is somebody that is, much like myself, has picked this country to live in and just loves it so much and talks about that, sells that to potential players that then can then come on. And as I said earlier, just the players bought into what he had to say. And I think that he deserves a ton of credit there, because players are intelligent, players are smart, and players get coaches, whether they like it or not. They get coaches fired all the time, because in the end, if they lose it, it's what can you do for me? That's what a player's mentality is out there for. And so far, he's got them buying in, and it's been great to watch.
So Canada has two matches at home in Edmonton. They've already beat Costa Rica and Mexico. What is the confidence level of this team right now? It seems sky high.
Yeah, that's a great point too, because again, they have faced adversity during this World Cup qualifying that they've never faced before and come through it. You mentioned it, going behind in games, going behind against Panama, and then going out there and winning 4-1. The way they just brushed aside Costa Rica in the Gold Cup, we did those games on One Soccer, was still a game that I think about more than most. It was a quarterfinal of a major continental competition against a team in Costa Rica who have been to the last couple of World Cups, are very, very organized, play together, been through the trenches together, a bit older than Canada, but just had that wisdom and able to get through games. And they were never in it. Canada dismantled them that day. It was 2-0, but it could have been more. So they will go into this game with full of confidence. And, you mentioned the Mexico games. The Gold Cup game was so close, going to the Azteca, 1-1 in the United States. They've got to a point now, Natasha, where they play anybody in the CONCACAF World Cup qualifier and they don't fear anybody. They may not be the best team in CONCACAF, but they're close to it right now. And because mentally, they don't feel like they're going to lose. They step over that white line, the whistle blows, and they think they're going to win. And that's mentally a massive part of their success.
So they're in third right now. They have these two games at home and then a bunch on the road. How crucial is it for them to get as many points as they can? Maybe this is a dumb question, but it just feels like they need every single point with these two home matches.
No, it's not dumb at all. Crucially, history has told us getting points away from home in CONCACAF is very, very difficult. We've had teams qualify for World Cups averaging 1 point per game away from home. So as I've said, if you can average 2 points at home and 1 point away, that's the method for me. That's the success. You will get to the World Cup. I'm a firm believer of that. I've run the numbers and I think that's the case. So home points are crucial. Now, I think I separate the two games because I think any point against Mexico is a bonus. I know they don't fear them, but that is still legitimately the best team in CONCACAF. So I think that Friday game against Costa Rica is the biggest one. They got to win that game. Everyone will talk about Mexico, but if you win that game against Costa Rica and suddenly you've got 13 points, the Mexico game is gravy, right? Anything you get from that as a bonus. But I think the Costa Rica game, if they're going to really seriously think about qualifying for this World Cup sooner rather than later, it isn't a must win, but you got to get 3 points. Get 3 points against them at home, you get to 13. And as I said, if you don't get anything from Mexico, I think 13 points from the first 8 games is still a great return, having played Mexico twice already.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Some more detailed questions here, I guess, about players individually. Striker Kyle Larin is back. Who is out, do you think?
Yeah, Laren's back in the team. Junior Hoylett is a player that's missed because he's injured. So I think he's a big miss because I don't think anyone strikes a ball better than him for Canada. So Laren coming back. They've got Ike Ugbo now who's a player that is just basically announced his eligibility for Canada, who was able to play for Nigeria and England as well, plays in Belgium, former Chelsea Youth Academy player, who's a striker as a number 9, will compete for minutes as well. So how they're going to fit them all together is a nice problem for John Herdman to have, right? The depth there. Laren and Jonathan David have at times looked quite similar. They both play a very similar position. They come and receive the ball in deeper positions, and sometimes you need strikers to stretch the opposition's defense a little bit more and get beyond them. So it'll be interesting where they fit them in. Kyle Laren's on red hot form. He was injured in the last World Cup qualifier, and he watched it from home, much like his Besiktas teammate Atiba Hutchinson. They're keen to come in. So I don't think there's going to be as much rotation here. They've got 2 games in the same city for the first time. So I think it's going to be a competition for the 11 players to go out there and make a difference and see if they can hold on to that spot against Mexico.
You mentioned Atiba Hutchinson, the most experienced player on this team. How much will that help the squad? Do you think there will be any nerves at all being at home?
I think there's always going to be a little bit. They don't feel like a nervous group. They don't feel like a tight group. They feel tight in terms of how they're connected, but they don't feel that. Atiba Hutchinson, as you said, he's not a rah-rah leader. I've had a pleasure of interviewing him and getting to know him quite well over the last few years. He's a soft-spoken and as nice a man you can ever meet, but he's a leader by example. And he's captaining in the UEFA Champions League, a team in Istanbul, which is one of the most incredible cities to watch a football match in Europe, with a ferocious fan base. So he can do that with a very low heart rate. I think he'll be okay in Edmonton. But I do think that they're going to understand that the closer they get to potentially getting there, that's when the tension's going to come in by obvious consequence. The fact that, okay, can they get there? So I think right now in a home game, 40,000 plus, which is brilliant, by the way, in Alberta to have that in November. Every credit for the Edmonton fans to buy their tickets. I think they'll embrace it. There's a smile on their faces for a reason. You watch them sing the anthem. As I said, they don't look like a nervous, tight group at all.
Well, I hope those 40,000 blow the roof off. Edmontonians always show up for things, so I'm not surprised at all at how high ticket sales were. So I haven't been to a game at Commonwealth for years. Excited to go as well. And I know a lot of people are going to be watching Alphonso Davies. It's his first game in Edmonton. When you watch him play, what makes him different to you?
Wow, it's a really good question. For me, there's not really a player like Davies in the world. That doesn't make him the best in the world, but there's not a comparison. In sports, we're always comparing this player to this player, or this player in this era of this player. And he's just such a unique profile of a player. Because of his age, because of his youthful exuberance, because of his pace, because of his technical ability to play in different positions, left foot, right foot, are very, very good. His intuition and awareness on the pitch, his instincts, I don't think talks about enough. And quite honestly, I think we're just scratching the surface right now in terms of what he could become. I never want to be that guy. I've never been that guy about hyperbole, but I do imagine sometimes about what he could get even better. You hope, God willing, that players like that don't get significant injuries, because that's when pace is just gone and it never comes back to the elite level that he's at. The game, unfortunately, pulls so much of these players in different directions that they play far too much football, and eventually there's going to be a drop off in terms of form and fatigue and everything. That will happen. He's only 21, but between that happening and then coming over the other end, 27, 28, a 29-year-old Alphonso Davies, you're talking potentially about being one of the best players in the world in any position. That's what he could become. And it's just so exciting that he's Canadian and he's proud to be Canadian, and he's almost that perfect face of the organization now, and that perfect face. Look, it's great that everyone's getting behind this Canada team, but I still think you need an individual to kind of instigate that a little bit. And he's become that face of this team, and he embraces it, and he does a great job of it. That's the other thing. As a 21-year-old kid, it doesn't intimidate him getting all this people. And so far, he's done a great job of keeping his feet down on the ground a little bit and coming through it all. Because I don't know if I couldn't have done that when I was 21. I don't know about you.
Right. You forget how young he is. Yeah.
Right.
He's been incredible to watch. He's really becoming must-watch TV, I feel, if you're a sports fan. One more for you, and then we'll get you out of here. The men, we talked about the men, how the program has been pretty mediocre over the past few decades, but now they're in the top 50 in the FIFA World Rankings. how can that benefit the men's national program?
Well, it has dramatic effects in getting in the top 50. I'm not one for rankings really, because I always think, I don't need a computer system to tell me who's better than anybody else, but it does actually have rankings have ramifications for players and getting abilities to go play in Europe, and players in the top 50 now can go get, potential positions in different clubs across Europe because of the ranking system there as well. So look, people are paying attention to Canada. That's the other thing, when the ranking comes out and they see this team that was really in oblivion. It wasn't an afterthought. It was just a never thought. Like, Canada doesn't play football at a men's level at a high level. Anybody, no one ever thought of them at that point. And now people are paying attention. And of course, when you see these players that I said earlier playing in the UEFA Champions League, people are going, oh, okay, Canada's, on the rise here. So it's, as I said, internationally, the recognition starting to come. And I think that's great, because certainly domestically, we can see that the success is coming quickly and people more and more are paying attention, as you said, particularly when you can sell that amount of tickets to a game in November in Alberta. So this means a lot. This is unprecedented times. As I said, when I moved to this great country 20 years plus ago, just riding this wave of the sport and seeing it go forward, we're reaching a true crescendo right now. It's spectacular to watch.
I'm laughing because you keep calling it cold in Edmonton in November, but I'm looking at the forecast and it's supposed to be 5 degrees tomorrow, which is actually not that cold.
Take it. So are you telling me I should take my big coat out of my suitcase? Is that what you're telling me?
No, I mean, bring it anyways, but it could be minus 20 kJ.
Yeah.
Like, it could be far colder than that. So I'm actually
know.
really excited that the sun's going to be out and it's going to be plus 5. I'm okay with that.
I'm excited too. I'm all over that. I'm good. That's good. So I'm going to say on the broadcast, if it gets cold, I'm going to blame you. I'm going to say, okay. I was told by a local Edmonton, my friend, Natasha. So we'll see. But I'm sure inside Commonwealth at that time of night, it might be a bit breezy, but that's okay. That's what we want. We want the opposition to not be up for it, right?
Right. And actually, I'm looking for Tuesday. It is supposed to snow. So that might be
okay.
Perfect.
Wow.
That's what we need to be to beat the Mexicans.
There you go. Perfect.
All right.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you so much for this, KJ. I know you're busy. We got you like at one of your busiest weekends.
Great.
So we appreciate the time.
Yeah, no problem. Big fans of yours. Again, Natasha, always a pleasure to spend some time with you, and hopefully we'll see you in Edmonton.
All right. Safe travels, stay warm, and yes, we might have to try to meet for a hot chocolate or something.
Looking forward to it. Sounds great.
Kristian Jack. Honestly, I said one of the nicest guys ever, and such a great broadcaster, such a great journalist. Awesome to have on the show. I'm pumped for that game tomorrow, Ali. I know I said I was going to watch the Flames and the Flyers, but I just realized there's a bit of a time conflict there.
100%.
Yeah, the Mets game. So
you're making the right decision for sure.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, Kristian seems like he should have like an MBA in football or something, right? Because like I felt like I was talking to an economics professor about economic theory, and you ever talk to somebody just think that holy this guy knows so much more than I do about what we're talking about right now. He's like he's like an encyclopedia of football. That's really cool to hear somebody that knows that much, and very, very interesting. And I'm going to take his advice on some of those betting tips he was giving, FYI. So there's some interesting insights there. So it was very, very cool. We'd love to have him back to hear more about, men's Canada soccer, especially over the course of the next few weeks and months as things start to shape out a little bit. For sure.
Okay, I think that does it for us. Lots on the line this weekend.
Very much
Go
so.
Packers. I guess I'm cheering for the Flames, which is weird. Go Flames. But the easy one to cheer for is Go Canada. So
Go Canada.
He made a really good point about tomorrow being the one that they have to win. So like I said, I think Edmontonians always show up for stuff, and I think they will be there with bells on. I hope there's a lot of flags. I hope there's a ton of noise. I will be there with my boots and my hooded what am I trying to say? My hood with the fur. Is that what I'm trying to say? Yeah.
The parka with the hoodie. Yeah. Okay.
Hood. I will have it all.
There you go.
The hand warmers and Go Canada. So have a great weekend. Have fun at the hockey game.
Thank you.
And we'll chat next week.
We will next week. Enjoy the game and Go Canada.
You're listening to the Oh Come On Sports Podcast with me, Natasha Staniszewski. Come